Okay, hi. I give this a few seconds because it takes a while for my voice to come on. But anyway, real quick, I titled this No Longer the Observer. And here's what I mean by that. This is just an example. I've been hearing some complaints over this Guardian article because of this new movie that Viola Davis is in called Widows. And she said a statement that more Black women should be in movies, as a love interest kissing hunky men. Um, I don't believe that she specified a particular ethnicity of men. She was just talking about how Black women should be promoted, right? And I looked at Beyond Black and White Elite's video, and I also looked at Chrissy's video. Okay. And of course, you have some trash. Well, I don't want to call them trash because I hardly read these media outlets anyway. But you have some people up in arms over what Viola Davis said, specifically the males. And that's why I'm going to get into it about no longer being the observer. I'm just going to really get it right into it. It is time. And I know all of them not going to do this, but eventually, Black women will get to a point where they're no longer even going to observe these guys. Just let them keep fussing, no longer even observing them. Because right now, Black women are getting to a point where some of them are getting to a point where they're getting tired and responding. And some of them feel like they can try to get these guys to understand that they're being hypocrites. Well, it's not going to happen. And here's why I say no longer be the observer. Because they have done nothing to deserve your attention, nothing to deserve your response. They do not provide for that community. They do not build for that community. The Black community was meant to benefit them. They did nothing to it. Most of them, a lot of them, abandon their children. And as much as they want to blame welfare and feminism, they have gone off and impregnated other groups of women as well, abandoning their children. And there's also a lot of different countries, countries like in the continents of, for example, Asia and other areas where they don't even want these guys dealing with their women, okay? So they can blame feminism and welfare all they want to, but it seems to be a global problem where globally people do not want them around. They all consider these guys to be deadbeats, okay? They like to blame everything on women. Black women just so easy to, I guess Black women are just easy targets. It's easy for these guys to keep their foot on their necks, the necks of Black women. So because Black women keep observing that these guys are supposed to be important, and then they keep existing, and everybody else is pretty much casting, kind of not paying them any attention. They already know what's up. That's why I did a series called Non-Black People Are Not Food. These guys stay online. Okay. When I say no longer the observer, I'm going to say an example of what's happened over a decade. I think the inception of YouTube was 2006. And since that time, a lot of Black men have got online and blamed the entire downfall of the Black community and everything that's wrong with the youth on Black women and Black single mothers and everything else and white supremacy. See, here's the thing. Although a lot of us was frustrated that they kept doing that and they kept blaming Black single mothers and white supremacy, and they never take any responsibility for any single thing they do. What they have done is that they have written themselves out of history. You literally write your own story, okay? And now we see in a lot of ads where you have the mothers by themselves. You see this in ads where mothers are by themselves with little babies, or you see where Black women are being promoted with non-Black men, specifically white men. It was a jockey commercial with this white guy. I think it was a Hanes commercial, like jockey. And he was talking about how he adopted this little Black boy from the mother, and he adopted this Black boy and he was going to be a role model. Do you see how the males have written themselves out of history? Do you see how they have written themselves out of existence? Okay. Because they have no longer observed themselves as being important in the household, and they want to blame everything on single mothers. Okay, not share the blame everything 100% on single mothers. Because they have done this, they have given Black women more importance. They're basically saying Black women are a powerful influence. They basically call Black women God. That's what they did. And they said they basically call themselves a non-factor. because everybody controls them. White people control them and black women control them, and they basically have no control of themselves. They have literally written themselves out of existence. Okay? I'm going to tell you where I get this from. Don't be the observer. You know, lately I've been talking about working on my inner world so my external world can change, because what we see on the external world is just a projection. It's literally a projection. That's why you see movies and you see that projection, and then you see the like if you go to the movies, you see this projection and projecting a movie on the screen. This is what our daily life is like. And the people that we come into contact with are the characters in our movie. Literally what we look at every day outside is a projection screen. That is what we see. And it's all a movie of what's going on inside of us. Okay. And we can rewrite that script anytime we want to. I rewrite my script every day. That's why I spent a few weeks offline, you know, not making audios, trying to work on my inner world and write my movie again, rewrite my movie again. I'm going to talk more into that, but I want to talk about no longer being the observer. And so also another thing about the observer, you look at quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and they talk about how the collapse of a lot of these atomic particles, when you focus on the idea of something so much, it becomes matter, because those quantum particles collapse and it makes that object, it makes it appear into the external world because of the concentration on this particular object. Or think, like, for example, if you want to go to the Bahamas real bad, now that's just an example, right? And you might not have the money to get there, but your desire is so strong that you have literally in your world created basically a movie or a short film in your inner world when you are at the Bahamas, and eventually in your outer world you are at the Bahamas because you found a way to get there, but it already started in the spiritual, it already started in your inner world. This is what I'm saying. You were the observer of the Bahamas, and so you ended up at the Bahamas. That's just an example. So what I'm saying is no longer be the observer of these guys no more. The reason they still exist is because they have your attention. They know they can always rely on trying to trigger you with dumb stuff like complaining about Viola Davis, like complaining about Chile and other things that people say. They know they can always trigger you because they need your attention, because once they lose your attention, they don't exist anymore. I told you, I said, and a lot of you guys know this, energy flows where attention goes. The more attention you put on the object, the more real it is. And because these guys love to keep triggering black women, the more attention these black women put on these guys, the longer they just stay around. You know, it's time to ignore these guys, no longer observe. And then eventually would be written out of our movies. They would be written out of history. And I'm talking about these particular guys who are just unproductive, okay? Because you have some that are very productive. But the ones who are very productive should have spoken up more for themselves, because they don't understand. They want to get mad at black women for putting all these guys to accuse black women of hating them and putting all of these guys into one group. But what they fail to realize is because they didn't stand up, put into that category, because they never spoke up. So they are into that category, and they themselves just might be affected, even though they are good guys that might take care of their family. They did not speak up. And so because they did not speak up, it shows that they might have been in agreement. And they thought they were hurting the women, but they were hurting themselves, okay? But anyway, yes, that's what I mean. So like our reality exists, our external reality, like we see a chair in front of us, it's because it's enough people that agrees on the same thing, right? And when enough people agree on the same thing, that in their consciousness, it becomes external reality, okay? And so that's what I mean. So it gets to a point where that, and it's happening slowly but surely. Like right now, it might be 20% black women, walk away. But then next 2 years, it's going to be another 20%, and it's going to keep growing. And once these guys eventually get out of the minds of black women, they're no longer going to exist. And I'm going to get into this. I know somebody was worried about, the black race need to continue, so we need these males so the black race continue. No, we don't need the black race to continue the way it is. If it's going to be like that, then it doesn't need to continue. And to be honest with you, nature right now is against a lot of other groups of people, but I'm specifically talking about so-called black people. The planet is tired right now. Nature is tired. Everybody's tired of this race, okay, including the people that are identified as being a part of this race. Everybody's tired of it. Is no need to keep these guys around and keep having a bunch of babies that's going to have an unstable household and grow up with more problems, okay? But anyway, with that being said, I can go on and on, but I'm going to stop it here, and I'll talk to you soon.